Welcome and good evening to the Lewiston City Council regular meeting for Monday, September 24th, 2012. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. First item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and join us. We'll be led by Councilor Jed Randall.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is we need to amend the agenda to include reading the proclamation for Fire Prevention Week. I'd entertain a motion to amend the agenda to include the proclamation.
So moved, Mr. Mayor. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to amend the agenda to include the reading of the proclamation for Fire Prevention Week. Is there any discussion by council? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Next item of business is citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the council on agenda items or other items they wish to bring to the attention of council. You are encouraged to discuss operational issues in advance with the city manager. In consideration of others wishing to speak, we'd ask you to please try to limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Are there any citizens' comments this evening? And for the record, name and address, please.
Galen Waits, 4390 Holden Lane, Lewiston, and president of International Association of Firefighters, Local 1773. Mr. Mayor, Council, I just wanted to address you on a resolution that you'll have coming up before you later on tonight on your active agenda. That being the ratification of a contract with Local 1773. And what I wanted to address you about was the process. In years past, the city has used outside legal counsel to come to the table in our process, and it always seemed to stifle it. Seemed that never could have that outside counsel quite up to speed with the workings of the city or what was going on at the time. This year was different. The city manager Bennett and his staff were willing to just sit at the table with us and have a free exchange of ideas, philosophies, perspectives, and it was refreshing. I think it worked very well. We were able to basically explain to one another why we were seeking what we were seeking and why we couldn't do what the other might have asked in a particular area, and it culminated in a timely resolution for your consideration. And so on behalf of myself and my members, I would just like to express our appreciation and satisfaction with that process.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments this evening? Okay. We'll move on to reading of the proclamation. Whereas the City of Lewiston is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our city, and fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the location where people are at greatest risk from fire, and each year nearly 3,000 people die in the U.S. Home fires, and Lewiston's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and related injuries through prevention and protection education. And residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And the 2012 Fire Prevention Week theme, Have Two Ways Out, focuses on the importance of fire escape planning and practice. Therefore, the Lewiston City Council do hereby proclaim the week of October 7th through the 13th, 2012 as Fire Prevention Week. And we urge all citizens of Lewiston to heed the important safety messages and to support the public safety activities of our community's fire and emergency services. I think we have Linda Steputat from the Fire Department to say a few words and accept the proclamation.
Mr. Mayor, council members, and Mr. Bennett, thank you very much for the presentation of the Fire Prevention Week proclamation. The fire department will be in the schools again this year, providing fire safety education to all kindergarten through 6th grade students, and this year's national theme is Have Two Ways Out. I encourage everyone to do 3 things to prepare for a fire in their home. 1, test the smoke alarms in your house. Make sure that you have 1 in each sleeping room, 1 outside the sleeping rooms in the hallway, 1 on each level of your home, and fresh batteries in all of them. 2, no 2 ways out of your house, out of every single room. 3, practice getting out of the house using all the different ways you've identified in the previous step. Because when the smoke alarm sounds in the middle of the night, you have to be able to react very quickly. And I invite those that have any questions about smoke alarms and their placement to contact the Lewiston Fire Department. Thank you.
Okay. Now, is Flame and Blaze or the clowns going to be going through the elementaries again this year?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the plan. So
Thank
they'll be hitting it a little bit later this year, but it'll be in the month of October still.
Okay, thank you. Next item of business is a public presentation on Sea Point Apartments, and it's by Tom Manschreck. For the record, please state your name and address, please.
With pleasure. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Tom Manschreck, Thomas Development Company, Northwest Integrity Housing, 413 West Idaho in Boise. Thank you. About a year and a half ago, the Lewiston City Council awarded our company about $200,000 to acquire the Crafted Apartments, a very well-built apartment community, fairly well-maintained, but 40 years old. That $200,000 was leveraged into $4 million of acquisition money and nearly $2 million of renovation, all put back into the property with no change in the rents to the residents at all. Why was that $200,000 important? Because in this era of very scarce resources, Idaho Housing and Finance Association has incentivized communities such as Lewiston and incentivized development companies such as ours to seek local financial assistance. The CDBG money that was available to the city of Boise, not the city of Lewiston, I'm sorry, not only garnered the $200,000, which was helpful, but in a competitive scoring process made the difference between us being awarded the low-income housing tax credits and the home money to acquire and renovate Crafted Apartments. So the city's $200,000 was leveraged 20 times to $4 million. We're very, very proud of that, and we have a quick PowerPoint presentation to show you some before and after pictures. Would also tell you that we are scheduling an open house, which we will coordinate with city staff, and we'd like to see each of you there. We were up there this afternoon, and as you would guess, we have lots of residents who've been interested in helping us and providing suggestions during the course of construction, and we had a couple of people literally come to tears today. They're so happy with the way things have turned out. City staff, building department, fire department, I mean, everybody at the city who's touched this project has done so with enthusiasm, with professionalism and promptness. We appreciate that. So behind you, I'm sorry? Yeah, why don't you go back to the start? This property was, those of you who've been around for a while may remember the old Craft Wall Company, and this was a Craft Wall apartment development. The modular construction is very solid, very sound, so we had good bones to work with, and our Lewiston architect, Tim Lynch, who's done an absolutely masterful job in not only helping us and specifically helping Barbara with the visions of how we wanted this to look, but he's had the task of herding the contractor and done a very nice job with that, and we hope to work with Tim again in the city and elsewhere. So the renovations have included new roof, new windows, new doors, new energy efficient siding, increasing the R value, hence cutting the residents' utility bills, and the residents do pay the utilities here. We've created 3 full ADA compliant units, completely remodeled the community building, installing a computer center for residents to use without charge, made the patio larger. Sadly enough, had to put in a smoking area, but we are. The apartments will be no smoking and have been for about 6 months. HUD is strongly encouraging that, and we are doing so at all of our apartment communities. So, some before and after pictures. The appliances are all Energy Star rated, so again, the residents' utility consumption will go down. We installed overhead or microwave range hoods. These apartments are not large, they're very functional and very efficient, but creating that extra counter space was a very welcome amenity. Looks like a bedroom. That's the new community building. We renamed Crafton's Sea Point, and that was in recognition of Idaho's seaport community, and so Barbara, who picks the colors and kind of envisions the theme for all of our communities, thought that something was green would be nice to recognize the proximity to the water. We did run an ad in the Lewiston paper about 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, and listed all of the local suppliers and contractors. We've been asked that not only by residents, but by those in the community, because we're from Boise, the general contractor is from Ogden, Utah. But I believe that significantly over 50% of the dollars that were invested in Sea Point were, Tim, was it more than that?
Probably, at least probably closer to 75.
So, you know, we bought lumber, we hired plumbers, the general contractor rented a couple of apartments for 6 months. So much of that money, that nearly $2 million, was invested in Lewiston businesses. We're very pleased to have that occur. And again, we're here to say thank you, and that the money really, the $200,000 made the difference between Crafton Apartments and Sea Point Apartments. Thank you very much. Happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Mr. Mayor. Councilor Ortman.
Tom, I have been involved with this particular structure for lots and lots of years as a close personal friend of Bruce Sweeney and partners in Craftwall many years ago, and I've delivered Meals on Wheels to this particular facility since 1975. And I agree that the footprint there was well maintained over the years, and the need for this type of housing and improved energy efficiency is throughout our community. And I'm glad this is your second project here, second huge project, right?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this is our first renovation. We constructed Turnberry, Troon, and Tullamore new communities. So we've done 4 apartment complexes in Lewiston, totaling 230 units, plus or minus.
It's exciting to see that we have people who care about senior housing and housing for those who are have access to smaller incomes than some of us. And I'd like to congratulate you, and I know that Bruce Sweeney would be looking down on you with a smile.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ortman.
Any other questions for Mr. Manshrak? Okay. Tom, again, thank you for your work and investment in the community. We really appreciate it.
We appreciate the city of Lewiston. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item of business is the consent agenda. I'll entertain. Is there any items that the council wishes to pull off the consent agenda at this time? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to read the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to read the consent agenda. Is there any discussion by council? Hearing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Approving the meeting minutes of the August 20th, 2012 regular meeting and the September 10th, 2012 regular meeting. Approving Resolution 2012-48 by title only. A resolution accepting and approving a wastewater utility easement from the Port of Lewiston and Idaho Municipal Corporation as grantor to the City of Lewiston and Idaho Municipal Corporation as grantee and providing an effective date. Approving the bid award for a digital in-car video system to WatchGuard Video of Allen, Texas in the amount of $81,655. And approving the vouchers payable for August 17th, 2012 through August 30th, 2012 in the amount of $1,001,164.61 and August 31st, 2012 through September 13th, 2012 in the amount of $1,774,094.75.
Thank you, Carrie. The consent agenda has been read. I'll entertain a motion now to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion by council? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. We'll move on to the active agenda. First item of business is possible third reading and adoption of Ordinance 4590, amending the code for new fees for limited fingerprint background checks. I'll entertain a motion to read Ordinance 4590 for the third time by title only, suspending the rules.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we read Ordinance 4590 for the third time by title only, suspending the rules.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to read Ordinance 4590 for the third time by title only, suspending the rules. Is there any discussion by council? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Approving the third reading of Ordinance 4590 by title only, suspending the rules. An ordinance amending Lewiston City Code, Section 21-135, to set a background check fingerprint fee for operation of a child care or preschool facility and providing an effective date.
Ordinance 4590 has been read for the third time. I'll entertain a motion to adopt Ordinance 4590.
So moved, Mr. Mayor. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Ordinance 4590. Is there any discussion by council? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Next item of business is Resolution 2012-49, approving a collective labor agreement between the City of Lewiston and Firefighters Local 1773, International Association of Firefighters. I'll entertain a motion to read Resolution 2012-49.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we read Resolution 2012-49.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to read Resolution 2012-49. Is there any discussion by council? Councilor Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, this issue is kind of difficult for me. We didn't even get this 40-page. It's a 40-page contract, and we got it on Friday. And unless you checked your email on Friday and actually had a chance to read it all on Friday, be able to send out email, questions, and then possibly get an answer back today, it's just unlikely. I'm willing to bet that the majority of us here started really looking at this 40-page document today. And if you have a full-time job like me, you're probably working all day. And I don't see how, I'm just not comfortable voting on this, and I didn't get the chance to really read it. Plus, it wasn't even up, even right now on the city website, the actual contract is not listed on there along with the packet because it was added in late. It just makes, I don't see how we could really vote on this when the public I doubt even the public has had a real chance to look at this. I can't support reading it tonight, but I do want to vote on it. I'd be more than willing to make a motion to postpone it until our next meeting. I do want to vote on it. I want to go on the record to have a vote, but I can't vote for something I haven't even had a chance to read. And this is a big issue. It's not like some small expenditure. It's a 3-year contract with a huge financial implication. I don't see how we could do that. So I'd request that the council allow time to at least review the document.
Mr. Mayor?
Would you like to put that in a form of a motion, Councilor?
I make a motion that we postpone the vote on Resolution 2012-49 until our next regular scheduled meeting on, I don't know, what's our next meeting date?
October 22nd.
October 22nd.
Okay,
Well, our next regularly scheduled meeting would be the 1st.
That's a work session.
that's a work session.
That's our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Normally don't conduct business on work sessions.
We certainly can.
Yeah,
You can.
you
Okay.
could, but
Okay, I'll modify my motion to the 1st.
Well, you said next schedule.
Okay, so whichever.
okay, the motion on the, is there a second to the amendment?
For sake of discussion, I'll second it.
Okay. So we have an amendment on the floor to postpone or table the resolution 2012-49 until the next scheduled council meeting. Any discussion? Council Pro Tem Cannon.
If memory serves me correctly, we had a executive session that pretty much spelled out with our fire chief in that executive session exactly what was going down as far as what the contract was going to be, what we agreed upon, and what the firefighters agreed upon. So we were pretty well schooled when it came to how those negotiations went. If you have to make sure that it's in the document, I would hope that our attorney would make those changes and we wouldn't too much have to worry about that. But I think as we were instructed and we were told what those changes would be, I feel very comfortable in voting for this and moving forward with it. As far as having it on the website, I don't think it can go on the website until it's agreed upon. Is that right, Jamie? As far as a collective bargaining agreement, I mean, doesn't that have to be approved before it goes to the public?
I think probably
terms
Mr.
of
Bennett can
package.
answer that better than I, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, but normally we would have posted just what the changes were in the contract.
Right, just
There are
what-
not changes to all sections or articles of the contract. So we would have posted just what was changed.
I can say that since the council was briefed on this agreement, there have been no additional changes or modifications to the agreement. What we were waiting for was an opportunity for the IAFF Local 1773 to have an opportunity to present it to its membership and have a vote. And that vote was overwhelmingly approved by the union local. It became effective this at midnight this past Friday.
So I guess I really don't know what the delay is all about. We were briefed on it. We were told what was going down as far as the agreement was concerned. If you just need time to make sure all those things are in the document, I don't know if even I would remember all the things we talked about as far as the document's concerned, even if I was reading the document. But hopefully I trust our city attorney and our city manager and Local 1773, and everything's in there that needs to be in there, and I think we just need to move on with it.
Councilor Daniel.
I think it's important to know, basically, essentially what we went over then was just the summary of it. But the details are 40 pages. It's not some short little document, and it's not some small amount. We're not talking about a couple $1,000s. This is a lot of money. There's a lot of details in here. And yeah, there weren't a lot of changes supposedly, but I'd like to go through it and actually make sure. Who knows? Maybe there's some part, I was just thumbing through this today when I actually got off work and rushed over here. But like the reimbursement for mileage, I actually think that's a little low. I mean, the average, most companies actually pay their employees more than 28 cents a mile if they're using their own personal vehicle to go somewhere. But that's not the point. It's just that's just real quick going through that. I'm sure there's some stuff in here I may disagree with and I'd like to talk about, but I don't know because I haven't read 40 pages worth in 30 minutes.
I don't think that, I don't know, I wouldn't support something. I think we either, this is to support and to approve what has been an ongoing contract negotiation. And I agree with Pro Tem Cannon that we were informed of all the changes. We've been operating under the same agreement pretty much for a number of years. And I agree with his statements that we were informed of the changes in the contract that were material and substantial. And that the other thing is that our budget was predicated on the numbers that we thought that we could, that we're hoping for on the contract. So as far as I know, Mr. Bennett, we're budgetarily, we're also covered. Is that true?
Correct. The dollar value of the agreement those portions of the agreement that directly affect the budget in one way or the other coincide almost perfectly with the amounts that were budgeted within the budget for the current contract year, for the first year of the contract. So that's not really an issue.
Councilor Stevenson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What's the implication of waiting until the 1st to deal with the resolution at that time? In other words, the wording here talks about it actually commencing contractually October 1st. If we don't actually pass the resolution until that night, there's no penalty or anything like that, is there? Or any thing that needs to be mitigated for the fire department?
The current contract, which actually we're in the extension year of that contract, expires on Sunday. So that's why we brought it to you tonight, to try and get it approved before the contract actually expires on September 30th. October 1 is the beginning of the new contract year. It's also the beginning of the fiscal year. The other reason is we have to get all this processed in payroll so that we can make sure that the payroll that comes out in October includes all the information from the collective bargaining agreement that affects any of the payroll entries. So those are that's the rationale there.
Councilor Stevenson.
I tend to agree with Councilor Daniel that despite the fact that there's no surprise or anything like that, and we don't want to hold anything up, it makes me a little queasy signing something without being able to say, I read that so that I can speak knowledgeably to the fire department, or actually it would be the IAFF. I would not like to be able to be asked a question and have to pretend that I had read the contract when I really haven't had a chance to go through it. But is there a way that we could perhaps do it on that day that we have the joint meeting? Perhaps we could have a very quick vote right before the meeting on isn't it Wednesday? That we
yes,
have
Wednesday we have
joint meeting?
A joint work session with the Urban Renewal Agency.
Or with the, it's Planning and Zoning and Historical Preservation.
No, that's on Wednesday.
Yeah, and that's not until 5:30. Is there a way that perhaps we could deal with it then, right before that, and have that be that one issue?
If you feel that 48 hours is long enough for you to review it.
Well, and we need to have the proper amount of notice for the meeting,
Well, we have notice of the meeting.
Yeah.
And we have enough time to do that because we have to provide 24 hours notice. If the council wanted to do that, you could certainly do that. If you feel that that's sufficient time for you to review the document in light of Councilor Daniel's concerns.
Councilor Cleaver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do agree with Councilor Daniel. The way I would summarize the executive session, I was here, but maybe I've misinterpreted. I was kind of like skimming over the highlights of the contract negotiations. So, and I agree with him because I was out of town this weekend. It was the same thing with me today at about 2:30 when I finally got to take a look at it and didn't really give it due diligence. So, but let me back up a little bit because I've also said that part of our job as counselors is to be up here 30,000 feet, to use an aviation analogy, not down here at 3,000 feet. We had people negotiating this contract, and I'm sure that they all did it in good faith, and I don't know that there's going to be anything hidden, secret, whatever. I'm not a contract negotiator other than rental contracts for contractors. So I got a little, I do have a little bit of a problem with that. It seems like sometimes we're given stuff without very much time to reflect on, and we're asked to make a decision. So that's.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the reason perhaps that it seems like what you received was a summary is that there were only certain articles that were negotiated. Many things in the contract were not negotiated and are not up for reconsideration at this point for the council, one being the mileage rate. It was simply not a part of the negotiation. So what you had that looked like a summary to you was only those articles that we actually negotiated. Much of the contract was not negotiated. So if you look at that, what appears to you to be a summary, it simply shows you what the old contract said for the articles we negotiated, what the new contract says for the articles we negotiated. The rest of the contract is not up for renegotiations at this point. So that may be why it seems like a summary to you. Not everything came up for negotiations.
Councilor Ortman.
Mr. Mayor, I was just rejoicing. I thought this was an extremely light week for reading for us. I think it's fairly typical for us to have at least 100, if not 300 pages of things to read. I looked at it and read through it. It was not a difficult task. I guaranteed several of us on here have had experience with this particular contract in the past, and we are familiar with the terms in it, but it certainly was what I would consider, from a legal standpoint, very light reading, and I'm prepared to vote on it.
Councilor Stevenson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't think that Councilor Daniel is suggesting that anybody try to open any kind of negotiation or discussion. We certainly did have a brief on that in the executive session, but having a brief in the executive session and having the specific contract that we ought to read, I think, is quite different. And it is great, and especially appreciate the comments that Galen made about the work between the city and the fire groups. I think that's great. It's nice to have that kind of relationship, and I really appreciate that. And it's only out of a concern that we appear to be incomplete by not saying we heard the words and now we've read it and therefore this is good. And would you be willing to amend it to your motion to have it be Wednesday?
This Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I amend my motion then.
And again, I guess I was out of town, but I was able to check it on my email and go through the document. And I agree with Councilor Kleberg that we depend on staff to represent us and to take care of these negotiations, and they've kept us informed and up to date of what was going on. And with that, I just don't see the need. I'd be very hesitant to put this past and vote on it past this 30th, because technically they'd be out of contract. I don't think that's fair to them. I don't think it's a good faith effort on our part. Pro Tem Cam.
Mr. Mayor, I totally agree with that. You heard Galen Waits, you heard his comments about how positive the process went, how each side did a little give and take on each side. We got the information. Even if you read the document, did you, after what we heard in our executive session, you make sure everything's in there? I mean, if everybody read that, would we make sure that everything that was talked about in there? Because we don't get copies of the executive session. Would you remember all of that stuff?
Well, that's why it's important to be able to go through this.
But I'm saying, that's where you put the trust in your city manager and your city attorney to make sure that those things are in there. Would you make sure that those things that we talked about in the document? They make sure it's in there. That's their job. That's what we do. Galen Wade says that the process went according to plan. The process was enjoyable. It's something that they look forward to, hopefully 3 years down the road, that it'll take place again. But delaying this, in my eye, after what we put our trust in our city manager and our city attorney, what's that going to tell the fire department? What's that going to tell that union? I'm sorry. I put my trust in that gentleman right there and that city attorney to make sure that that's right. And it is right. I skimmed through it. Looked okay to me. But I don't remember everything that was talked about in the executive session. And I don't think any of us on this council could remember everything that was talked about in the executive session. But that's why I put the trust in those people right there. They're going to make sure it's right. Also to Galen Waits and Local 1773. So I am not in any position to postpone this. I think postponing it is sending out the wrong message to the employees of this city when we did a bargaining in good faith. So I'm ready to move forward and vote on this.
Councilor Daniel.
I think that's kind of the point, though. I mean, we put the trust in the staff, but the citizens put the trust in us to be informed. I mean, that's the point. Otherwise, why don't we just have the staff do everything, and why even have a city council? You know, I'm not asking. You know, I actually do want to vote on this. I'm not trying to, get out of voting for this. All I'm asking is for a couple days. So I will amend my motion to postpone going over Resolution 2012-49 until this Wednesday.
Any other for Councilor Randall?
Call question.
Okay. Question's been called. Those in favor of the amendment on the floor to postpone.
We didn't get a second.
He amended his.
Question doesn't need a.
Call of the question is technically a motion to stop debate.
So it
Not
doesn't need a
debatable
second.
requires a second, requires a two-thirds vote.
But there was a motion
But we
on the
didn't
floor
get-
without a second.
We didn't get we
Right.
have a motion without a second on the floor.
But the amendment, the
The
motion
The
to
amendment.
amend.
No.
We have a second by Councilor
We had a
Kleber.
second to the original.
To the
Does
original.
the
original.
Do you agree to the amendment?
Sure.
A friendly amendment, then therefore we can vote on it.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, we'll vote on the amendment on the floor to postpone till Wednesday. Those in favor, raise your hands. Those opposed? Motion fails 5-2, or 4-2. Okay, the,
Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
how does that add up? 4-2?
It was
5-2.
5 to
Sorry, there's 7 of us tonight. 5-2.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Long day. Now we are onto the motion on the floor for reading the resolution 2012-49. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Kleber, Councilor Daniel.
I just want to go on record that I do want to be able to vote on this, but since I can't honestly say I'm informed in this, I don't remember everything that we went over briefly, very briefly in the executive session. The little bit of paperwork we did get in the executive session was taken away from us because obviously we're in the executive session, so I will be abstaining from this vote.
Okay. Councilor Stevenson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I think that as counselors, we have an obligation to do diligence on the things that we vote on. And I think it sends a bad message to people that we not read the items that are prepared for us. And if we didn't have enough time, that I think it's not a bad thing to say. And there's time where we checked and it's still fine to vote and before the 1st of October, but I think it sends a bad message that we just blindly trust the staff, that everything will be in the documents that we have. I think it's a good idea for us to just trust but verify. And when you buy a house, for example, you make sure that what you talked about with the realtor is actually in the documentation that you receive. And it's been great that the process has worked so well, but I would just appreciate being able to have another day and a half to make sure we've looked at it.
Mr. Mayor.
Pro Tem Cannon.
Councilor Stevenson, I read the document.
Good for you.
So did I.
Councilor Kleber.
Well, again, there's a fine line between when you're talking about due diligence versus micromanagement, and that is the fine line. As far as I'm concerned, the highlights are here, which that is kind of the germane stuff. But again, I still agree with Councilor Daniel. It's a big document to drop on somebody. And again, not having access to the internet when you're on the Salmon River for the whole weekend makes it really hard to catch up and be able to read this. So no, I haven't read the entire document. The recap, which is right here on page 2, is basically what we talked about. So I don't have a problem voting on it, but I appreciate the comments, and I'm prepared to vote. So,
Councilor Daniel.
I'll just make one final comment, I guess. And it's not so much I expect anything else to change other than what's in the recap. I just want to have the opportunity to look over it and possibly ask questions. If there's a part in here that, hey, I don't really understand this, I've never really looked at a union contract in depth, I would have really appreciated the opportunity to at least be able to ask the staff questions.
Any other discussion by council? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Did you abstain?
No, he abstained.
He abstained. It was 6-0. Did you?
I voted.
Voted aye?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so motion carries 6-0.
Well,
0 abstention. I guess 1 abstention.
Approving Resolution 2012-49 by title only. A resolution accepting and approving a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Lewiston and the International Association of Firefighters, Local 1773, for 3 years commencing October 1, 2012. Authorizing and directing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest respectively said agreement and providing an effective date.
Your resolution 2012-49 has been read. I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2012-49.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve resolution 2012-49.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2012-49. Is there any discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Randall.
I have one concern, and this concern has caused me to vote no, and that is the overtime, Article 15, where it says time compensated by work, leave, or vacation shall be counted toward hours worked when they calculate the overtime. I'm sorry, but the federal law says that we're only obligated to pay for time worked. And so I will have to vote no on this.
Councilor Daniel.
Was that in the past agreements as well? Or is it something, I'm assuming it's not?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Just as a reminder, Mr. Mayor, we did not give any instructions to our negotiators to deal with that.
Any other discussion by council? Okay. Those in favor, raise your hands. Those opposed? Okay. Motion carries 5-1 with Councilor Daniel abstaining. Next item of business is vouchers payable. Approving Han Rental, Han Supply vouchers payable dated August 17th, 2012. 30th and 31st through and September 13th in the amount of $3,741.10. I'll entertain a motion to approve vouchers payable to Han Reynolds Han Supply.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve vouchers payable to Han Rental Han Supply for $3,741.10. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0 with Councilor Kleberg abstaining for conflict of interest. I'll recuse myself from item D for conflict of interest. Pro Tem Cannon.
Active agenda item D, vouchers payable, approving the Rita Cell Engineering vouchers payable dated August 31st, 2012 through September 13th, 2012 in the amount of $28,254.66. I entertain a motion to approve the vouchers payable.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we approve the vouchers payable to Rita Cell Engineering in the amount of $28,254.66.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the vouchers payable to Rita Cell Engineering in the amount of $28,254.66. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0 with Mayor Poole abstaining. Mayor Poole?
Thank you, Pro Tem Cannon. Last item of business is approval of vouchers payable to Albertsons for the amount of $72.75. I'll entertain a motion to approve vouchers payable to Albertsons for $72.75 with Councilor Daniel abstaining due to conflict of interest.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve vouchers payable to Albertsons for $72.75. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0 with Counselor Daniel abstaining. We'll move on to unfinished and new business. City Councilor comments. City Councilors have any comments this evening? Councilor Ortman.
Mr. Mayor, I would just like to invite anyone who is listening and anyone present in the room today to attend the adult comedy at the Lewiston Civic Theater, 9 to 5. That was popularized by Dolly Parton in her portrayal of the role, one of the three main ladies in the cast. But she is also responsible for writing the screenplay that is being used at the theater. And that will go on for the next 2 weekends, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I encourage you to go laugh a bit. Some very nice voices in the production. I think you would have a very good time.
Thank you. Is there? Tim Cannon?
Just a little update on the 1st and 5th Street rebuild that the URA is doing right now. The downtown businesses are looking forward to that being accomplished. I know it has been a little mess down there, but they are working hard. ML Albright and Sons are working very hard to get that done on the time frame that the contract was settled on. So it's going to be great. It's looking good. They're pouring concrete on the Main Street to F, and hopefully get Main and D, the other 2 lanes of that paved. So we'll have both lanes open very shortly. So hopefully it's either this week or next week. So, and they'll continue on down to the bypass. But work is going great. A few surprises. When you find an oil tank with oil in it that nobody knew was there, it's kind of a fun thing. That kind of delays project a little bit. But anyhow, the project's going well, and I think the businesses are very appreciative of what's going on downtown.
They haven't found the state charter yet.
They have not found the state charter. They need to move down probably one more street, and they might find it. But we'll keep you abreast of that, Mayor Poole, and see if we find it. Yeah.
All right. Councilor Stevenson.
Thank you. I wanted to thank the Nez Perce County Fair Board and all the people involved with putting on the county fair. It was fantastic. I thought, despite the smoke, it was a great turnout, and the carnival looked like it was fun, and the smell of curly fries and elephant ears and all that stuff was just all over, and the kids really seemed to be having a good time showing their animals, and a lot of people really, especially the 4-H'ers, that's really a great experience for the young people. And also wanted to mention, as far as fairs, we've got pretty much one more fair. That's the Lewis County Fair this coming weekend, and the Combine Demolition Derby on Sunday. And the U of I Vandals, there's a combine it's painted in Vandal colors, and I've heard that maybe there's your colors made me think of a Boise State, a Bronco combine is surfacing. Anyway.
Is there a Stevenson?
I don't want anybody to think this is Boise State.
Well, I know, but it made me think of it. That's why
Is there a Stevenson combine?
Well, I don't know, but I'll be there. That's going to be fun.
Okay. Mr. Mayor? Councilor Randall.
On September 15th, myself and my wife and some members of TOT and a couple other people got together with the Community Warriors Volunteer Center, and which included several of the baseball players, and we went and did cleanup on the Osborne Interpretive Center at Bowie Park, and it was a good time had by all, and we got quite a bit accomplished, I think, on the cleanup.
Thank you. And several headed deer that appreciate that.
Yeah. Then there was another thing.
Go ahead, Councilor.
My wife attended a annual legal convention in McCall here last week. She came back home with a court case that the Idaho Legal Aid had tried and won. And it was concerning religion in the city of Boise. And what it was a homeless center, and they had changed managers of the homeless center, and one was a religious group. Anyway, what came up was There is an article in the Idaho Constitution, Article 9, Section 5, that says neither the legislature nor any county, city, town, township, school district, or other public corporation shall ever make any appropriation or pay from any public fund or monies whatever, anything in the aid of any church or sectarian or religious society or for any sectarian or religious purpose, nor shall any grant or donation of land, money, or other personal property ever made by the state or any other such public corporation to any church or for any sectarian or religious purpose. I think maybe we need to take a second look at our donations, and I would ask the city attorney to take a strong look at that to see if we will be in accordance with that article of the Constitution.
I can do that.
Any other citizen or city councilor comments? Okay, I think I'd like to again thank Mr. Manschreck. It was one of the things, that's a positive thing for the city, and it really impacts and helps people in the margins that are as valuable as any of our citizens here. And he's got a lot of projects here, and it's a real positive thing for the city. And another is it's good to see that we have some good relations and trust with our unions and the representatives of our employees, and that we're able to sit down and be able to work things out without legal counsel. And these are just real good positive steps, and it speaks a lot about how we're doing business as a city. And I just like to commend everybody for doing a good job, and it's things like that that really reflect on us well and also move us ahead. That, Mr. Bennett, any comments this evening?
Just to remind everybody, since we've discussed that tonight about the upcoming meetings that are going to be held Wednesday at 5:30, we do have a joint meeting with the City Historic Preservation Commission and with the Planning and Zoning Commission to review the issue of the Normal Hill Heritage Zone. That'll be held at 5:30 at the Bell Building. And then on Monday, we have a work session with the Urban Renewal Agency. Will be held at 3 o'clock at City Hall. And again, that's to sort of do a status report on the activities of the Urban Renewal Agency and where the agency might want to go in the future. Our council meeting, it was normally scheduled for October 8th. It has been canceled because it is a scheduled observance of Columbus Day holiday. So our next regular council meeting date, evening date here at Lewis Clark State College will be on the 22nd of October, regular time, 6 o'clock.
Yes, Mr. Bennett, if we could look at our schedule going through to the end of the year to see how our meeting schedule falls on the holidays. I know the 24th of December falls on a Monday this year.
Right. We will have one council meeting, official evening council meeting, only in the month, each month of October, November, and December.
December, okay.
Because there are holidays that conflict.
So what are the dates in November then of the?
The date in November
evening?
is the 26th.
In when?
November 26th.
Oh, really?
Right. It's the Monday after Thanksgiving.
Okay, and that's the only one?
In November, yes.
Yep, okay.
And then in December, it will be on the 10th of December.
Okay.
And in October, of course, as I said, on the 22nd of October. So those are the 3 remaining official council meetings held in the evening here for the remainder of the calendar year.
And then on the 5th of November is a work session.
Well, right. We will continue to have our regular work sessions the first Monday of the month
Even in
November
December?
and in December.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other items, Mr. Bennett?
No, that's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Ortman.
I just am appreciative of the fact that we received extra documentation to read along the way for the PNZ meeting on the overlay, and that's appreciated. Thank you.
Move on to advisory board and commission appointments. Looks like Airport Authority would ask that Mr. Mike Martin would like to be reconsidered or considered for reappointment. Councilor Stevenson.
I have a question, and before the meeting, as I noticed on here, I was inquiring, I didn't have a chance to go through the Joint Airport Authority bylaws to make sure, and towards the end there, we started having quite a few small little changes. Right as of now, the terms have an initial fixed length, right? 2 consecutive terms. Can we check? Is that still the case? Okay, and then somebody could be off for a while and then come back on, but as far as and so this would be Mr. Martin's second term.
That's correct.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve or reappoint Mr. Mike Martin to the Airport Authority Board.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to reappoint Mike Martin to the Airport Authority Board. Is there any discussion? Councilor Stevenson.
Thank you. I just have one thing, and so this gives us time for the public to be thinking about becoming interested in when his second term is up, so that it's not a shock. In other words, starting to become engaged in the airport activities, because it's a complex operation, and the board deals with an awful lot of stuff that the public never really sees, and a lot of interaction with the FAA and the engineers and all that thing. But I would encourage the public, especially now that we're starting to develop the South Side, that if there are people who are interested in the development of and encouragement of business, especially as it's related to aviation, to become involved, go to the meetings, and then maybe we can have a good transition. That's my soapbox,
all right,
and I'm sticking to it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Recommendation to reappoint Mike Martin to the Airport Authority Board stands 7-0.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Ortman.
We have 3 positions in the Historical Preservation Commission that need to be dealt with. There are 2 that are requesting reappointment that I would bring before you this evening. And the 3rd position, you haven't received all of the documentation, and we haven't had a chance to have interviews. We have at least 2 or 3 there who have applied for the 3rd position that was vacated by former Councilman Gary Bush. But for the reappointments, I would bring forward the names of Ron Carlberg and John Mock this evening for your consideration in the form of a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to recommend reappointment of John Mock and Ron Carlberg for the Historic Preservation Commission. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
And we will get interviews scheduled for the 3rd position.
Okay. Motion carries 7-0, so recommendation stands. Councilor Stevenson.
As far as in regards to historic preservation, now that work that the fire folks did on the recreation of the territorial capital, that's going to be hard to beat. So it could be tough to get people on the Historic Commission because they did such a good job. We have pictures and appreciate it.
Anything else for advisory boards or commission appointments? Councilor Daniel.
I'll first start out. We have an opening on the Transportation Advisory Commission still. I don't think we've gotten any applicants yet, but hopefully if anybody's interested, they can. And we also, it was going to be a tough decision because initially we only had 1 opening on the Parks and Rec Advisory Commission. Now we have 2, and we have 2 applicants. So I'm happy to make a motion to appoint Judy Carlberg and Mike Spears. Both have big ties to the community. One's a retired librarian, another a soccer coach. I think they'd fit in perfectly. They both said that they'd be able to make the meetings. So I'd like to.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilor Stevenson.
Thank you. Since he whizzed right by the Transportation Advisory Committee, I just wanted to comment. I know that for people that may sound dull and like watching paint dry, but actually for this area, that is a really, really critical area and commission to be on. And I would encourage people to think seriously about joining the group, because we're very tied in with the development of almost everything in this area, in our valley, with how transportation works, how easily it works, the regulations, all of that. So it's an important commission.
Any discussion on the motion on the floor about the appointment for the Parks and Rec Commission? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Recommendation stands 7-0. Any other advisory board and commission appointments? Councilor Randall.
Don't have anybody, but I do have 3 openings on the Solid Waste Advisory Board.
Advisory, okay. Any other items? Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, work session agenda topics. Is there any other additional work session agenda topics? Councilor Kleber.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Burke is going to be out of town this week, but we talked the last time about revisiting the cemetery issues. And tomorrow night we have a meeting, but it'll be primarily focused on Phil's work at Urban Forestry, scheduling the October meeting for cemetery business, and Tim will be back in town then, and then I would like to have that at least for November 1st.
That a joint work session?
We won't be prepared.
It's on
November
5th.
It's on for the 5th.
Yeah.
Right,
Suggested.
November 5th, we'll put it on there.
Thank you.
That's the joint meeting for the City Council and Cemetery Commission. Is that what you're talking about? Or?
Yeah, or just revisit it, and
Okay,
because it's not going away.
agree. I agree.
That's kind of the nature of that business.
Well, I was just going to make some remark that the residents of the area are satisfied.
Okay. Any other work session agenda topics? Okay, we'll move on. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session regarding land acquisition per Idaho Code Section 67-23451C.
Mr. Mayor, I move we go into executive session for land acquisition for Idaho Code Section 67-23451C.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to go into executive session regarding land acquisition per Idaho Code Section 67-23451C. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. We'll take a 3-minute recess and reconvene, and we will adjourn immediately after the executive session.